We're learning the Sikha on Parshas Nitzavim in Chelek Chavtes on page 167. The Shir today is being learned Lil Nishmas Rabbi Yosef ben Yamin ben Rabbi Menashe Kaltman. Oifum Pasik u'malavai lekecha eslevavcha v'eslevav zarecha. The Pasik in this week's Parsha where it says, and Hashem will circumcise your heart and the heart of your descendants. Steht in Targum. The Targum translates this. V'yadi avaye elekecha yustapshus libcha. That Hashem will circumcise the foolishness of your heart. Now, the Targum here is adding a word, tapshus, the foolishness. The Pashtos, Bavaran the Targum, so simply the Targum is clarifying by this, Vi pasta loshen, umal goime es levavcha ve'es levav zarecha. How does it fit to say that Hashem will circumcise your heart and your descendants' hearts? That inyan von umal is shayach dafke by arla salev. To circumcise is only if there is a foreskin or a cover on the heart. Nit benegeya halev atzmai, but not regarding the heart itself. Und wie steht in Afridige Sedre, as it's written earlier in the Torah in the Parsha, umaltem es arlas levavchem, and you will circumcise the cover on your heart. Hat euch da gedacht doch heute stehen, umal havai lekecha es arlas levavcha ves arlas levav zarecha. So here as well, the pasuk should have said that Hashem will circumcise the arla, the foreskin of your heart and of your descendants' hearts. The far is the Targum Meisif, therefore the Targum adds, Kitargumai besedra hanal, same as in the Targum in the Parsha mentioned, then vart tapshus libcha, the foolishness of your heart. The says, as it says, vi amikra kotzer, the pasuk here is writing in short, it says, Keilu, vi the pasuk vod gesagt, befeirish arlas levavcha. It's as if the pasuk explicitly said that Hashem will circumcise the foolishness of your heart. The question is, why doesn't Rashi answer this obvious question? Al derech wie the Targum, like the Targum does. And as explained many times, as Rashi ve'emfit jede shaila was misayre belimud pshutisho mikra. Rashi answers every question that comes up in the simple understanding of the pasuk. So we must say, as the Chittas Rashi, darf men die Shaila nit bavarnen. In Rashi's approach in learning the psukim here, this is a question that does not need any clarification. Tzi valkushi me kora lesa, or because it's a question that is not really a question at all. Oder val Rashi hat shem bavarnen die Shaila in afridigem pirish, or many times Rashi addressed something earlier and will not bring it up again, as explained many times that this is the way Rashi explains things in Chumash. So how do we explain this in our case, looking at the psukim where this question is not a question at all? So to explain why the pasuk does not use the expression of the arla, the foreskin of your heart. So we can say that, look into the psukim, in the context, and you'll see why the Torah can't say that. Freer state, the pasuk earlier tells us, and things will come to pass. And then you will return to Hashem, you will do tshuva. You will listen to His commands, to His voice. You will listen with all your heart and with all your soul. Und danach is the Torah mamshech, and following this, a full level of tshuva, the Torah continues and says, "V'shava avay lekecha goyme shvuscha goyme ve'viyacha avay lekecha la'aretz goyme," that Hashem will return with you to the land and bring you back to the land, and then umal avay lekecha zevavcha goyme, Hashem will circumcise your heart. Says, so what do we see here? As the umal avay lekecha zevavcha v'zayin la'achrei v'yidin zen shenen amatzev v'shafta goyme b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha. The pasuk here is following after Yidden are in a level where they have done a complete tshuva with all your heart and all your soul. So how can we say that here, when it speaks about circumcising your heart, it's referring to the foolishness or the foreskin of the heart? If Yidden are in a place where they have done a complete tshuva, they don't have anymore this foreskin on the heart, which would mean either tipshus or tapshus, kit pirisha targum, as the Targum says, the foolishness of the heart, or the Rashi is mefarish, Arlis levavchem, Rashi explains and says a bit differently, the translation of the foreskin of the heart, oitem levavchem v'kisuye. There's a certain blockage and cover inside the heart of the person that doesn't allow him to express his connection to Hashem, as the lev is otum mehovim. His heart is completely clogged and closed up of being able to take in the awareness and understanding and his connection to Hashem. So therefore the pasuk will not use that term here. Yidden are already past this. And therefore we must say, as meant a hecher and inyan in avodas Hashem. When it says here that Hashem will circumcise your heart, this refers to another level, a higher level in serving Hashem. The noisif of the friedige shlile, in addition to what has already been taken care of and negated earlier, heder atipshus, arapnem eitam alev, removing foolishness, removing the blockages in the heart. There's something positive in the actions of a yid going forward. That Hashem circumcises your heart to bring in a love in your heart. To say this point in a little bit of a different way, a little bit with a different approach. Frie steht, as Yidden wollen Tshuva tun, folgende Meibishten und b'chol levavcha und b'chol nafshecha. Yes, it does say that Yidden already before this are doing Tshuva and are following all of Hashem's commands with all their heart and all their soul. But was das ken sein afille, wenn sie dienen dem Meibishten meyira. However, that could be, even if it's all being done out of the awe of Hashem's presence. But now here, what the pasuk is adding it, umal havaya gomer, that by ze oifton la'ava es havaya lekecha b'chol levavcha b'chol nafshecha. That Yidden will come, Hashem will circumcise their heart, and then this will accomplish that they will come to connect to Hashem from a place of love, which is a much deeper and closer relationship. That's the reason why the pasuk does not use the term of arla here, and Rashi does not add in to say that it means, as the Targum does, tapshus, the foolishness of the heart. Es bleibt aber zu verstehen, but based on this, what remains to be explained is, was for a shaykhis hat umal a pull from krisa hasare, what connection is there to this idea of circumcision, to cut off, to remove, mit pu'ula oifen lev la'avagaymer. When we're talking about something that Hashem does to affect the heart of a yid, to bring out his love, that's not an act of cutting away or circumcision. Additionally, the question here is from Lashon HaKosov, Umal Havaya Geimer Kumtais. The pasuk is saying Hashem will circumcise your heart. So that means, as es is da an inyan, that there's something we're talking about here that's not being accomplished and cannot be accomplished by the person himself. Nor al yidei pulas HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Exclusively a unique power of Hashem that will accomplish this. However, the addition here in this pasuk is that you will come to return to Hashem out of love. Is doch avos Hashem atzivui of kol echad ve'echad mi Yisrael. To love Hashem is a command that every single yid va'ahavta es havaya lekecha goyme b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'pamayim b'chol yom. This is a mitzvah, and this mitzvah is something that we also have a mitzvah twice a day to say it in the Shema. So what is the novelty here about the la'ava, that it says that only Hashem will circumcise your heart and bring out of you this level of a love? So we still need to understand what this pasuk is talking about according to Rashi. So we can answer and say as follows. This question as well, Rashi doesn't clearly address it, because if you read the pasuk in the context of what the psukim say here, you'll see the answer yourself. The psukim, v'haya ki yavoyo alecha goymer, in the psukim where it speaks about what will happen to the Yidden, v'shafta goymer, when Yidden will return, and then v'shav, Hashem will return with them to Eretz Yisrael, u'mal goymer, Hashem will circumcise their heart. Kumen b'hemshech to the arichas frier, it all follows where the pasuk speaks at length about wegen the matzav bilti toivin galus, about the not good condition Yidden are in exile. Was kommt mitzadem was azvu es bris havaya, which is a result of the fact that they have left, they have forsaken their covenant with Hashem. Und the Torah is mitayir di sibbe von azan hage, and the Torah goes on to describe what's the original cause of this behavior. Because ki atim yedaitim goymer be'eretz Mitzrayim goymer, you have seen and known things in the land of Mitzrayim. Vatiru as she could say in goymer, you have seen, you were exposed to their abominable behaviors. And therefore, therefore this causes that there could be those amongst you that your heart has a tendency to turn in that direction. Lavid is to serve idols of these nations. That's what the pasuk describes is the original cause that brings Yidden to forsake their covenant with Hashem. Is the form verstandig? So if so, we understand there as the rumal havaya lekecha as levavcha geimer. When the pasuk here says that Hashem will circumcise your heart, was v'zayin la'achre v'yaviyacha havaya lekecha ela aretz geimer, which follows after Hashem brings Yidden back to the land, is a tzorap nemen di sibbe from the Yerida Ruchnis. The point here is that yes, the Yidden are not in exile anymore; they're back in their land, but now Hashem wants to prevent a possibility of this happening again, and therefore he wants to get rid of the original cause that made it happen the first time. The efsharius, the possibility of vatiru ashiketzeim geimer, that you will see, you'll be exposed to things outside, and then levave paina geimer. This can draw your heart in that direction. So here, there's a unique concept of Hashem coming to circumcise your heart that will prevent this. So what are we talking about? On the Asbara in them, so the explanation of this is, in them was the leid von Ayid, von Ayiden, kehrt sich ab machrei Hashem. The fact that the heart of a Yid may turn away from Hashem, sind dort zwei sibis klolius. This can be in two levels. There are two causes in general for this. Welche dricken sich aus in die zwei Lashonos, which are expressed in the two languages used in the pasuk, arla salev, when there is a arla, a foreskin, something that's clogged in the heart itself, on levave paina, the expression used here when it says that your heart is turning away. So aleph, on one level it is a chesaron in the mitzias alev atzmai. There's something lacking within the heart itself. As says da arla salev, there is a foreskin in the heart itself, tapshus oder an item, whether a foolishness or the heart is clogged up. Umitzadem is the lev nimshach tzedvarim ro'im v'asurim. So it's the heart itself. It has reached into the very heart itself, where it's not in a good place. The emotions that are supposed to be in a healthy heart of a Yid are not there, and therefore he's drawn in his heart to negative and forbidden things. But then on another level, even before this, asibbe shechutze meno, when there's a cause that is outside of the person, mehalev, outside of the heart. It hasn't yet penetrated the heart itself. It's a cause from outside. Ubelashon Rashi, the expression that Rashi says that ha'ayin raya v'halev chaymet, the eyes see and then the heart desires. This is how a person can find himself slipping and falling. Before it gets to the point where there's a change in the negative, that it already affects the heart itself. He's not yet on a level where the foolishness defines the feelings of his heart, or his heart is totally dull and clogged up. And therefore the heart itself would not have a desire to these negative things. But then but when a person is exposed and he sees things in the world outside of him, and this creates a desire, a certain tendency in his heart. Das ist der Diok Loshen HaKosuv v'Parshasenu. So this explains the exact choice of words in the pasuk in our parsha. As the Sibir Shaynet zu the Yerida Ruchnis from Bnei Yisrael. What's the first cause, the original, the beginning of how it can happen that a Yid should descend and fall in his spiritual level in serving Hashem? Is Ishgaime Ashalavave Paina, that it's the heart that is just turning away. It's being drawn, it sees things. Der Lashon Levave Paina weist auf a Chesare nit in dem Lev Atzmai. This language indicates we're not talking about a Yid that's on the level where there's something unhealthy in the heart itself. Vilevavam ha'adol, like the expression levavam ha'adol, the heart itself is clogged. Nor blois in etiyas halev. Rather, it's just something about the heart that is being drawn. Which is caused by something outside of the person. And this is described clearly in the pasuk how things evolve. You know that you have been settled in the land of Mitzrayim for a while. And you've seen their disgusting and abominable ways. And there your heart is drawn and turns in that direction. To serve idols of those nations. It's not yours. You don't identify with it yet. It's not in your heart. So this is the description of a case where the heart is still healthy, but nevertheless, by what the eye see, it causes the heart to have a desire for something that's not who the person is. That's the beginning. That's the sibbe, the first cause for the downfall of a yid. So based on this, is verstandig, we could understand what the pasuk is saying here. What does it mean that Hashem circumcises the heart itself? And what does it mean that only Hashem can do this? So Aleph, vi pastor of the lashon umal krise. How is it appropriate to use here this expression that Hashem will circumcise, will cut away? While the oiftu fun umal is, what does umal mean? So arap them in the efsharius from levave paina. It's to remove even this possibility of the heart to follow things that it's exposed to. Was dazu darf man abschneiden dem Kesher zwischen der Rie. For this, you must cut and separate the connection that there naturally is between what a person sees, mitten lev, with the heart that follows what the eye see. As the lev soll nicht chaimed sein, der vatiru mit der Ayin eshiketzeim. So that what should happen is that the heart should not get affected by the things that a person is exposed to. So that's the circumcision here. To cut that natural connection that there usually is and the tendency of the heart to follow what the eye see. Now the second point here is umal havai lekecha goymer dafke. That it's only Hashem that can circumcise and accomplish this. This is an act of Hashem. Anodam is bekoicha to meise zayin the arlas alev. A person has the possibility to remove the condition of the heart itself that may be unhealthy, that is clogged, that is foolish, and to work on clarifying things and bringing his heart to a good, proper place. Zayin oitem etipshus, the heart being clogged or being foolish. Aber the keshet zwischen re'iyas eino v'libay, but that natural connection that there is between what the eye see and what the heart desires is an inyan was the Eibishter hat in matbia given. This is human nature. Und es ist nur bekoiche yisbarach das zum mevatel sein. And this is only the power of Hashem that He nullifies this connection, that a yid could live in the world, be exposed to things in the world, and yet his heart should remain completely dedicated to Hashem. Und das ist euch, was the pasuk is mamshech. Malavai lekecha es levavcha ves levav zarecha. Pasuk goes on to say that after Hashem circumcises your heart and your descendants' hearts, la'ava es avai lekecha b'chol levavcha goymer leman chayecha. That you will come to love Hashem with all your hearts, and this will be your entire life. We're talking over here about another level, a higher level of love for Hashem as a result of this. Wie bald, as es wird im Ganzen zugenommen werden. Die Efsharius of Levavi Paine, since what we're talking about here is that Hashem will circumcise the heart of the Yid to the point that He will cause that there won't even be any possibility for a Yid's heart to turn to any direction outside of where his heart is supposed to be. And the pasuk adds, Leman chayecha, for the sake of your life, which means nitztam avos Hashem. That a Yid will not only have a love for Hashem, which is always a mitzvah, to love Hashem b'chol avavcha b'chol nafshecha, nor an anayfen, as das wird werden, die ganze Leben von a Yidin. This love will become the entire life of who the Yid is, because there is no other life. Everything else that's going on does not matter at all to the life of the Yid, because Hashem has cut off that possibility of anything outside influencing what a Yid experiences. So then he has one experience, one life, just the love for Hashem. That is accomplished only by umal avaya lekecha, by Hashem doing something which is supernatural, disconnecting a Yid from anything else. It's not who he is as a Yid. That's why, according to Rashi, just looking here at the context of the psukim, it's clear what the pasuk is speaking about. It's a different level of umal havaya lekecha, and bringing a Yid to this higher level of ave that the pasuk is speaking about. Von der Minyan anal kommt der Reis an Afgemine in der Teichen Avoide von dem Zman, wenn man leid Parshas Nitzavim, Chesem Chedesh Alo. From the explanation here that we see in the pasuk, we have something which is very relevant to the content of our Avoide in this time period of the year, which is at the conclusion of the month of Elul. Regarding this pasuk that we're discussing, steht in Baal HaTurim, the Baal HaTurim tells us, as es levavcha ve es levav, Rosh Tevis Elul. It's the Rosh Tevis of the month that we're in, the month of Elul. And lekach nogul ahashkim lespalel slichis mirish chodesh Elul ve'elech. And therefore the custom is to wake up early in the morning and say slichis, to ask Hashem for atonement from Rish Chodesh Elul forward. And this is the minig by the Sfardim and many Yidden that say slichis from Rish Chodesh Elul. Von dem, was the Baal HaTurim verbindt, die Rosh Tevis, von dem Pasuk, mit Amiras Slichis, the fact that the Baal HaTurim doesn't only connect it to the month of Elul, but he says that in the month of Elul it's a time for saying Slichis, which is simply asking for forgiveness, is Muvan as is Mefarish dem Teichen HaPasuk von Umal Goyme al Tzaveides HaTshuva. So it's understood that what he's saying is that in this Pasuk it hints to the fact that the month of Elul is a time for Tshuva. What the Baal HaTurim says goes along with the way the Targum sees the pasuk, that Umal Goyim as Levavcha meant as Menemt Arab the Tipshus Alev, that this refers to removing the foolishness of the heart, and that's what Tshuva is. However, according to what has been explained before, according to Rashi, that it explains, this is a simple reading of the pasuk, that the accomplishment of Hashem circumcising the heart of the Yid is expressed in what the pasuk then follows and says, La'ava Geimer, Laman Chayecha, that there's a higher level of love that you come to, that the love becomes your whole life. Warum die Asaras, Tapshus, V'oitem Alev, hat sich schon aufgetan, noch fahren einmal Hawaii Kecha, or upgetan. It's been accomplished. To remove the foolishness and whatever was in the heart that was clogged is already done from before, as is indicated in the pasuk. Kumtais, as the Aveda von Elul, so according to Rashi, the Aveda in the month of Elul, Hamarum is in pasuk, Umal Goimel es Levavcha ves Levav Zarecha, which is hinted here in this pasuk, is nit Aveda Satshuva v'aslicha. It's not where a Yid is pulling himself out of a place where there's foolishness and he's asking for forgiveness. He's on a step further. Not Avodas Ha'ava. It's referring to the Avodah serving Hashem with love. And that is warum der Eiftu von Elul is Oich in Kav Ha'ava. Because the greatness and the uniqueness of this month is also in this category of serving Hashem. It's a time which is special for a Yid to inspire himself and express his love for Hashem. Kamuvam from the Rosh Tevis, as is understood also from the other Rosh Tevis of the month, Anila Daidi, V'Daidi Lid, I am to my beloved, and my beloved turns back to me. Was Daidi is the Chaninyan von Nava. The word Daidi is love. Und wir verstandig euch von der Mashal Yedua, was the Alter Rebbe sagt. This is also understood from the famous parable that the Alter Rebbe says. On the fact that there is a revelation of Hashem's attributes of mercy in this month of Elul. It's like a king that on his way coming into the city, and he's out into the field, and he's there, available and accessible for people that go out to receive him or to greet him in the field. And furthermore, the Alter Rebbe says, and the king responds, and he greets everybody with he shows a glad and smiling face to everyone. What's kamuvan is das ma'orer by kulam an avet zum melech. So it's not only the presence of the king that you're allowed to go and approach him and greet him, but then the fact that the king expresses his love upon him seichakais, so that in turn inspires kamayim apanim lapanim gaimer, a love for the king. So therefore, Chodesh Elul is a special time to connect to the Eibishter on a level of ava. And that's what's hinted according to Rashi in the Ves Levavcha, Ves Levav, La'ava Savai Lekecha, Leman Chayecha. That's the difference between Rashi and the Baal HaTurim. The Baal HaTurim is explaining according to the Targum, and Rashi explains Pshutei Shel Mikra. Furthermore, we can say, as those was leitem Baal HaTurim is an Avodas Elul, Hamuremezes and Pasik Umal Goimer Nit Nichlal Dehem Shechakosov La'ava Goimer. This that according to the Baal HaTurim, the words in the pasuk that hint to the month of Elul does not include the continuation of the pasuk of la'ava, of love. What's the reason for this? It's not only because he's learning that Elul is a time where we're focusing on tshuva, which is before it comes to the level of ava, and Elul does not include ava. No, we can say as follows: as vayletin limud al derech haremez, which is Pirish Habal HaTurim, because learning the pasuk on a higher level where things are hinted only in the pasuk, and this is what the Baal HaTurim is. Most of his Pirish is hints and Rosh Tevisim and Gematrias in the pasuk. Is there la'ave Geimer a hechere madrege vid avas Hashem shebechodesh Elul. So the Ava in the pasuk that's there is the next level. Actually, a Ava that's more and even higher than the month of Elul itself. So yeah, there is Ava in the month of Elul as well, according to the Piddush of the Baal HaTurim. But according to this level of learning the pasuk on Remez, the Ava in the pasuk hints to an even greater level of Ava that there is in the month of Elul. So therefore, it's only Eslavavcha Eslavav that hints to Elul on that level before the greater Ava. What are we talking about? Ubagdamet, to explain this with the following introduction, going back to the Mashal of the Alter Rebbe, the way the Alter Rebbe explains the month of Elul. The Alter Rebbe is Mavaya, so the Alter Rebbe there explains the Chelek zwischen Avedis Chodesh Elul and Avedis Yomim Neiraim Shel Achrei Zeh. That what is the Aveda of a Yid in the month of Elul, and then the Aveda that begins in the days of awe, starting with Rosh Hashanah and the days that follow. As Elul is be'iked is man von anile deidi isarisa de lesata. Elul is primarily the time where it comes from below. The Yid makes his own effort to turn to Hashem, the awakening from below. Masha'enke the Yamim Neiraim is the Iker Zman from V'daidi Li. In the days of awe, that's the main time period when there's a revelation of our beloved from Hashem, from above. Zman, his galus, malchusa yizbarach, a time where from above there's a revelation of Hashem's presence, Hashem's kingdom. Now, therefore, the Alter Rebbe goes on to say, as opposed to the month of El, where the king is out in the field, he comes down to your place, and therefore here the person senses that it's me. I'm comfortable in my skin and in my level of existence, and I'm coming to approach and greet the king. But then when you come to Rosh Hashanah, the Yom Neiraim, it's bedugmi v'eine v'says mekabel pnei melech be'echol malchusay. Now you're elevating to a whole different level of existence. It's like you're standing in front of a king in his private chamber, in the place where the majesty of the king is expressed, and a person there completely loses his own feeling of self. And this is only for those people that are on a high level, the ones that are chosen and unique individuals that rise to that level to come and greet the king in his palace. It's only then that the love for Hashem becomes completely and fully ingrained in the heart of a Yid. Even more than the Laman Chayecha that the Pasuk says, that a person has only Avos Hashem to be his life, and Hashem removes all outside exposures to have any influence in him. But nevertheless, not necessarily is it actually fully his entire essence of being to his core. It's when the person is coming to the level where he's in the palace of the king, in the private chamber of the king, there it becomes completely ingrained in him. There is nothing else about his existence when he stands in front of the king himself in that place. So das heißt, what this means is, as the madrege sa'av in Chodesh Elul, the level of love for Hashem in the month of Elul is nit as a hayach vida ave was vete greich in the Yamim Neiraim. It doesn't reach to that level. It's not as high and as powerful as the level of love in the Yamim Neiraim, the days of awe. The Iker Azman from V'daidi Li, that's the main time when you have the revelation of Hashem. So based on this we can explain the Chelek zwischen die zwei Eifanim Anal. What is the difference between the two approaches here? Whether the La'ava is part of the month of Elul or it's something separate. Because now the Limud al Derech Hapshat. When you learn the pasuk according to Rashi's approach, learning the simple understanding of the pasuk, Limud Hashava L'chol Nefesh, learning in a way that's equal for everybody on every level to learn, is behesem to the nit azay hayach madreges and avedus Hashem. So therefore, the understanding of the pasuk is on its simple and basic level, not on very great and high levels in serving Hashem. Madreges to velacha al yidin zan shayach, levels that are attainable by everybody. So obeinyanenu, in our case, der la'avas avay lekecha goyme in olam apshat. When the pasuk here goes on to say that Hashem circumcises your heart to come to love Hashem, so and the simple understanding of the pasuk is a madrege in avet zu velacha alle yidin zan shayach. We're speaking about the level of love that relates to everybody and is accessible to everybody. Und the far is the satel von Avedis Elul. So therefore, according to Rashi, the Ava is what the whole Mal is all about. That's why here it says that Hashem circumcises the heart itself regarding the love. And that's in the month of Elul. Well, das is an Avet, zu welchem in ken de grechen, afilu wenn gefindt sich basada. This is a level of love that even when a Yid is on his level where he feels himself as a being of who he is, in the field with the king comes down to his level and he's able to approach and greet the king and express love. Kamayim upon him, as explained before. That's in the basic and simple understanding of the pasuk for every single yid. However, when you come to a higher level and you learn the hints in the pasuk, which means that it's a higher level of learning, and therefore it relates to a higher level in serving Hashem. Is there so here the love for Hashem, this is a higher level of love. A level of love which is totally and completely ingrained in the being of the Yid. And this is a level of love that only comes following after what a Yid accomplished in Elul. And the Iker Hazman from the Doidili B'Yamim Neiraim. And this is primarily in the time when there's a revelation from above. It's not something that a person can attain on his own. And this is actually, according to this pshat, why the pasuk here is saying, because we're talking here about a revelation that comes from above. And the far is aschalas hakosov, and therefore, according to the Balaturim that's interpreting the pasuk on this level, he says at the beginning of the pasuk, the aveda von slichus, which is mirish chodesh ve'elech from kol yamim the chodesh elul. It's speaking about the aveda of saying slichus, which is related to the person that there is love of Hashem here as well, but it's still a person that's in his existence before he enters into the palace of the king, and that's the entire month of Elul. Und danach, in the Yomim Neiraim, but then following, when you come into the days of awe, after you complete your Aveda, then the Great Mentzu, then you come, when Hashem circumcises the heart to a Yid, there's a greater revelation from above, you come to a level of love in all your heart and all your soul, and this becomes your entire life, but through and through, natua, as the Alter Rebbe says. It becomes the entire life of a Yid that is only following after the month of Elul.